Yo, Shawn, what's going on, my boy? How you doing?
What's good, Tommy? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm ready to get into these, topics on finance. But before we dig deeper into finance, let's talk about what's going on in our financial world right now, like worldwide. So what do you think the biggest, most pivotal thing facing finance right now is?
Um, I know that the moratoriums are about to end soon. I want to say that's around the end of August. So that means that evictions are going to go back into effect. I remember hearing about student loan payments having to go back into effect soon too. That'll be around the beginning of September. And well, it was one more thing. The student loans, the evictions, and the unemployment, the extra $300 a week. That's into.
That's deep. That unemployment, because a lot of people have been living off of it. And the thing is like, it doesn't bother me that they got unemployment. What I'm more so worried about is their integration into society to get the bag back, because there seems to be a disconnect. I don't know if you experience this as well, but there seems to be a disconnect between work experience, like time, right? Time and grade, and actually being able to get the job. Do you see any major issues happening there, or what's your thoughts on it?
So I'll give you something that came up recently. So Father's Day just passed, and I was out at Red Lobster with my pops, and we had to wait an hour and a half to get a table. And it's not that the restaurant was closed, right?
It wasn't closed?
It wasn't. It's not that the restaurant was full. That's what I meant to use.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not that the restaurant was full that we had to wait an hour and a half. But the reason we had to wait an hour and a half was because it wasn't enough workers. It's so many people who would rather choose to be on unemployment right now because they're getting more money from that rather than actually work for like a lower amount of money.
Wow.
So I see a lot of people having to go back to work, right? I mean, in this particular case, in a restaurant, the restaurant I'm running smoother. But think about how tough it'll be for everybody to go out there that's unemployed to go look for the specific job that they want. It's going to be a very tough market. So I foresee a lot of people having to do jobs that they don't really want to do because of the competition of so many people who's also looking for that same job.
Okay. And I kind of challenge that slightly in the fact that going out to, I think, and maybe this is just the positive, empath in me speaking on this, but I think it's also a great opportunity for those who didn't like where they were. But here's the pragmatic part about that. The pragmatic part about that is you have to be very proactive and intentional about which job that you're going to go pursue. And so to our listeners, I want to harp on getting out there, and using that unemployment, cash. Maybe you got something saved over. I hope and I pray that they got something saved over. But using that money to, really level up out here, because that's going to be hard. Like there's, and I go to work and I see it every day. And I saw somebody that got smart, right? So we had this worker. She, she was struggling a little bit with the packages. Like FedEx is not for the faint heart. You know what I'm saying? Like you really gotta get after it. And a lot of people don't have that. Everybody, that's a lot. Like everybody's not made to be an artist or a painter or something like that, right? And so next thing I know, so I come in one morning, I'm walking through, because we got to go to the security gate. I walk in and I see somebody behind a mask, and I was like, wow, that's her, And so, but it showed that she was listening and seeing what other people was doing. She got in with the security gig at the FedEx instead of being a driver anymore.
And so it was more opportunity for her to move around to a spot she wanted.
Yeah, and be actually comfortable, right? So, and that's interesting. So this is going to lead into our first topic. And it's one of those things where being able to think differently from the crowd is a game changer, especially in this economy. So here's a quote from the book. So chapter found in chapter 2. So 3/4 of millionaires admitted that learning to think differently from the crowd in their formative years played a major role of who they became as adults. You think true or false?
I mean, you got to think differently to stand out from the crowd. So I agree with that.
But so how do you, and so the thought process is, how do you get there?
How do you think differently than the crowd?
Mhm.
Well, you got to not be a product of your environment. Like you got to be willing to go against ideas that already exist, and just even question the ways that you've been doing things, and seeing if it's really just a tradition. I'm like the first book that I think of is The Word of God versus the Traditions of Man. It was a book that I read in my Bible class, and we talked about like all the different parts of the Bible and how is it really with the word, was it really with tradition? We was comparing it to what we were doing in the church. So if I was to compare that to basically the question you just asked, how do you think differently? You gotta question, like, is this a tradition or is this something you really supposed to be doing?
Ooh, that's real. That's deep, because when you talk tradition, so there was a lot of things that I was looking. So you know me, I'm always listening to a new audio joint, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's like podcasts or books. And they talked about how that like people had to get out of the 9-to-5 philosophy and go entrepreneur. But now you've got people, entrepreneur is the big term for millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
But the trend's going to come back where people are looking for the quality 9-to-5, because everybody's not about that life. And, you know, one thing that I really respect about you, Shawn, is you a teacher and you rock that.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Like, you take ownership of that. Like, you even got me thinking, bro. Like, I'm like, after I get back from this deployment, somebody was telling me that, like, in order to be a sub, you just had to have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think now at this point, because we talking about like the switch up of the mindset, you know what I'm saying? Like thinking differently. I'm thinking I can podcast, pick up some shifts, you know what I'm saying, in different realms and pad my resume and my stats and find what I really like, right? Like that's a total game changer, because I heard cats with in some areas they get paid like $250 to $300 a day just to sub, to fill in.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful, because now you're talking about completely changing the game. Completely changing the game. I think we talked about this the other night about you becoming a tutor or doing some like tutoring, like side stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like to make big money. But at the same time, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do my thing. But it's beautiful. And I think the listeners that tune in, like, they gotta understand you can stay in your lane and be great, but you gotta be willing to accept that. But you can be creative, right? You can think differently in that lane. Shawn, with the Dave Ramsey boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, you picked up the book. You're like, man, I'm gonna start going through this. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you're not just drawn and strapped to the book. Because I had a conversation financially with a buddy, and he was just like, you know, Dave Ramsey was good for you in the beginning, but you can't keep strapping your mental to that book. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta get out and flourish and think about things going forward. Because I'm like, if I want to own a bunch of, and this is just something that I was spitballing, own a bunch of semi trucks, because they can make $5 to $7 grand a week. Shawn, if I get 10 of those, we talking big money.
Yeah, that's true.
But the other part of that is looking at it from a long standpoint. And I think that's why, you know, like when they talk about the millionaires, they had like long-term thinking. It was that process, right? And that process takes you to the top. But I think that's interesting. So for the listeners that may, you know, they're going to tune into your episode and go check it out, I highly recommend, by the time this airs, Shawn's episode is going to be on the Hungry Millennial Network YouTube channel. And his story is extremely powerful because of the fact that like your parents really didn't believe that you was gonna pay off that debt.
No,
They didn't
not
believe
right
you was
away,
gonna.
nah.
They didn't believe you was gonna even kill it in college like that. And nothing to the parents, right? Like at the same time, like and I like Gary Vee, right? And he's like, it's gonna sound kind of vulgar, but F your parents. And like it, he doesn't mean it in a facetious way, but like there are gonna be naysayers out there that like try to, you know what I'm saying, swat down what you're doing, and you got to stay in your own lane because you came in this world by yourself and you don't leave that way. And I think it's on us to make our day-to-day as positive as we can. So go ahead, can you speak on that a little bit, to your story of like thinking differently and how you got financially free with that?
I mean, going back to thinking differently, I was just thinking a few years ago, like, do I really have to be in debt for 30 years, right? Or 20 years? Like, a lot of people hold on to their debt for so long that it becomes a norm. Like, everybody around you is holding on to debt. And it's like, you know, maybe everybody can't be wrong. So when I came across Dave Ramsey, you know, he spit something different. Like, hey, you ain't really supposed to have debt and everything. You know, a mortgage is fine, but you might want to even pay that off. And then you want to use the excess money to start investing. I want you to start thinking net worth. I'm like, oh man, I like that. Let me give it a try. I mean, the worst that can happen is what? I pay off my debt and I don't have money saved. I'm like, I'm all right. I'll check it out. Let me see what happens. And I just, you know, knocked that out in about, 3 years. But it was nice being debt free. It was a different feeling. I didn't expect to feel good about, paying off my student loans or anything like that. I just thought, check, I got it done. But I really feel free. Like, even though teaching is a choice of mine, it was a goal of mine. It's like I get to choose this every single day. It doesn't feel like I have to do it, just to make a living.
Oh man, and that's beautiful that you said that, because it's like, it's like with podcasting, right? I'm like, I spend endless amounts on ads and equipment and just, a bunch of different stuff. Like, you've seen the level up ever since you pushed me into the pool, like, go swim,
Yeah.
Man, kick my ego off the diving board, and I had to go in there. I'm like, man, I don't want to face his ego, but I'm gonna get in that water and see what I can do. But it's powerful because once you start watching your money and managing your money, you can do the things that make you happy. And where there's passion, the dollars will come. Because here's the thing, like, your love for teaching, it's like there might be an opportunity out there where you just change somebody's life. And we the type of people, we not looking for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like our friendship because when we go places, it's like we can look out for each other. I got it, you got it, whatever, fine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they owe this for that, you owe me next time. And when you do that in life with money, all the doors open up. Life really starts to work for you because people want to do things for you because you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need them to do it for you. It's kind of weird. There's like this old, saying that, like, to those who have, more comes. And I thought that was like some greedy, like, like capitalist type of thing, but it's like, it's true.
Yeah.
Because that love that you and the passion that you have for kids learning and growing it, and you being able, like, you slogging in Chicago, bro. Like, as a teacher, being passionate about being a teacher in Chicagoland. That's powerful. I respect that about you a lot.
Appreciate it, bro.
But that, like, but thinking about paying, like, I'm telling our listeners, like, pay the bills, pay that stuff off to where you can go and do what you want to do. And, what's powerful, I don't know, did you do any internships in college?
Nah, I didn't, man.
Okay. But if we would have been this financially free early on, because there's a part of me that thinks if I would have found Dave Ramsey and been intentional and deliberate about it, I would have breezed through. I would have got the little Honda boy, because I ain't need to stunt for the ladies in the Cadillac. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would have got the Honda boy and saved some money, but you know what I'm saying? Half my student loans wouldn't even be there. But we talked about product of environment. When you come from an environment where you ain't had nothing and you get something, it's like you want everything. And that's hard to break. So what was one of the if you could speak on something, what was one of the main issues you was having while getting out of debt? They like kept you, because I know there's a bunch of nagging things that I'm like, I don't want to get rid of that. I don't want to let that go.
I say one of the hardest things about, you know, being on that journey of becoming debt free is saying no to a lot of things you want to do. Like multiple times I was invited to like going out of the country or going to a different state, you know, going on a specific kind of date with a young lady. You know, I remember one time one of the girls wanted to go
Zora, close your ears. No.
Yeah, they wanted to go to a really expensive seafood restaurant, you know, and I was like, you know, what about Red Lobster instead, you know? And she was like, no, I don't want to go there. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm sorry, I have to get back to you, you know, because it's not part of my plan, you know. I had to ball on the budget. I had to date on the budget, you know.
But you know what you just did? You conditioned yourself to say no. And every time you say no, it gets easier every time.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a part of your principles. It becomes a part of your belief system. It becomes everything that you are. Like there are so many situations like I got to tell myself no to. Or, you know, like today, for instance, bro, you know, I like to, like I've been kind of leveling up a little bit. You know, I like to have nice, you know, sheets and covers and blankets. And, you know, I'm thinking, okay, let me go to, you know, Walmart, and let me go to, you know, JCPenney's. And I was like, nah, bruh, TJ Maxx. And then you get in there, you find a bunch of stuff that you like, you don't necessarily need, but you can afford now because you ain't go get the $150 blanket. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so those are the small, beautiful things that are really, really game changing. Because it's also hard. I don't think the ladies understand out there how hard it is for guys to get dates and stuff like that. So it's hard to turn down the seafood boy. You know what I'm saying? You're like, man, I want to impress a chick. You know what I'm saying? Like I did that one time, bro. I'm glad you said no, because I did that one time in college, and I ain't gonna say it ended up in a bad situation, but I didn't get the outcome that I would like. And then at the same time, I found out the person was really, really annoying. So I took her to Red Lobster, and she's just like, we driving back the whole time. And, you know, we college students, though, so I give her a little grace there. But she was just annoying. She was like, my daddy do this, my daddy do that. You know how that goes in Chicago. My daddy, he do it. And I'm like, sweetheart, I'm not your dad, and I'm broke, and I'm in college. I cannot help you. But that pinged in my head. I'm like, this ain't the one. Like, I'm going to have to let her go. I'm going to have to let her slide on through. Because it's one of those things that it costs you so much money, man. Like, and so much heartache in college that hurts. So our next topic, it is, so many millionaires are extremely competitive and welcome criticism. It motivates them to prove their critics wrong. So what kind of, like on the upswing with this finance thing, and now, like, what does your competitiveness look like?
That's a good question. What is my competitiveness?
Do you compete against anybody, or are you just that guy?
No, I'm not. I'm like right now. Right now, while I'm investing, it's not like I'm competing against anybody else. Like I'm not trying to say, you know, I got 40% gain, you know, since last year to this year, and somebody else got 50%. So now I'm trying to outperform them, because now you're starting to try to take risk in investing that you shouldn't, to try to compete with somebody and you lose it all. I'm gonna just stick to my ETFs, you know, my Roth IRA. I dabble a little bit in the options and the individual stocks, but I'm gonna just stay the course, you know. But as of right now, the only thing I'm really competitive with, I mean, I'm always competitive with myself, is really becoming a better teacher. That's all I want right now. And what that looks like is receiving coaching, right? So I can just better my craft. That's pretty much it.
That's lit. That's powerful, because that shows me ambition. That shows me that, like, I'm creating the right power circle of people that I want to be influenced by. Not financially. See, everybody, they want to go power circle like money and all that. I'm like, if I don't get any money, I get knowledge. And knowledge you can take anywhere, because if they strip you of your car, your house, everything else, you can figure out how to get it back. You know, I probably quoted like a bunch of rap songs, and that would sound like, you know what I'm saying, we out here pushing, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
that's the powerful part about it is you saying, I want to get coaching on teaching. You know how many people barely want to show up and teach every day? That's strong to me. Like with my detailing business, people look at me crazy. They're like, I didn't know that there were, you know, people that did training in detailing. I'm like, I'm good right now. But if I get this extra training, I'm going to tear it up. Because I failed so many times in different ways. I got the credit card, boy, with the Amazon. You know, they send you that little credit card. You got, hey, bro, I got that. I think that bad boy was like $2,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll run it up. I'm getting the, you know, the this and that and this and that. I was down so bad. I had to sell my generator for power. I had to sell that bad boy. Because as fast as I was getting money, it was going out. Because I didn't value that dollar. And it like, even with Uber, like Uber is a great side hustle. I love people that do Uber as a side hustle, but it is the fastest way to get rid of that money too. Because most people, and I was privy to this thinking, oh, I'm gonna get it back next week. I'm good. I'm in the city. I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna get the hotel, and I'm gonna get the, you know, with the nice dinner.
We ain't gonna even talk about paying taxes at the end of the year.
Oh, bro, I'm still paying on them taxes.
Yeah,
but I pay them faithfully because I owe it. You know what I'm saying? I love my country, but man, I'll be like, man, what can I do with this extra little, you know, whatever, you know? And you don't actually realize it. With those taxes, you actually got to be really, really good with your money with the taxes. Because say so I made this mistake a couple times. I put the money on a year that I had already paid in. So it wasn't going to accredit it to the year that I actually did Uber.
Right.
So it looked like it flip-flopped, and it was like, you owe this much more. Because there's interest on that money. People don't realize with them payment plans, if you don't make your payments, there's interest on that money, and the government will run it up. Just like they borrow from everybody else. We in trillions of dollars of debt, they're going to run it up on you. So all those people that's out there doing Uber driving and stuff like that, watch yourself, because, hey, you know what I'm saying? They out here taking no mercy when it comes to the United States government. They do not play about their money.
No, they don't, especially after they printed trillions of dollars. They want it all back.
Hey, and that leads me to another thing. One thing I was listening to was like about crypto and stuff like that. They coming for crypto. Ain't no way. That's why China had shut it down.
Yeah.
Because ain't no way you going to get any type of dollar without the government getting their cut. Because now you can go get a pizza with some digital currency that they're not tapping into. And now what happens if you buy a house, right? And now you buy a couple buildings. And now you buy a couple, you know, that's why crypto and blockchain is really, really dangerous. Like I believe it, like I can see it working, right? Like lately I've been studying NFTs, non-fungible tokens, you know, to like monetize like different situations and stuff like that. But you know how I think, like I'm thinking 5-10 years ahead of time, how, you know what I'm saying, Shawn, we can sell, you know, you could sell like, you know, 10 teaching lessons or something. And then one of them's an NFT and it's got like free school supplies in it. Like, you see how dope that is, right? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, and you know, the lessons ain't got to be that expensive, but you just change somebody's life because now you personally taking them shopping up to say $500, right? Or something, you know, whatever you got out of that. Because a lot of times what I'll find is if you do something for free, for value for other people, people start talking. And now it's way more valuable because a lot of people, they get afraid of free. And I'm like, you ain't got nothing to lose. You wouldn't
doing that anyway. Free though.
Yeah, that's true. So you got to watch the circle, right? You also got to have value in that realm. But the truth is the better you are at your craft, the more that they'll value free because people talk. And sometimes that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you, because that buzz is powerful. Like, it was crazy, bro. You know that on your profile, you got more likes than anybody that I've highlighted thus far. Like, everybody wants to tune in to Shawn Hutson. That's powerful, man. I told you, I'm like, we need to do a podcast, bro. And I'm glad that you started saying yes to a lot of things because
this year I just started saying yeah. I used to say no, like you said. You learn how to say no. It's easy. I know how to say no to everything now.
Yeah, right. Like that's super powerful stuff, and I am like extremely gracious and extremely proud of you for being on the podcast. So. So many millionaires are extremely competitive and welcome criticism. It motivates them to prove their critics wrong. My problem is I'm like way too competitive, but with myself. Like I get mad at myself sometimes if I wake up at 5 instead of 4 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, dog, you could have did this. You could have recorded this many more podcasts, made this many more memes for the brand, and I'm like. And then I gotta be like, Tommy, chill.
Yeah.
Long game, marathon, you're okay. It's gonna be okay. And my kid, she got it honest. Because if she don't do something right, she, what I'm saying? Like, she got that attitude. So I went to her T-ball match last night, but that girl, she's like spitting image of me, same, bone structure as I had when I was little, tall, skinny, real thin. And she gonna have that competitiveness straight. And I think it's one of those things where I think we want to stress to the listeners that there is healthy competitiveness. Go ahead.
As you were saying, like your daughter was playing T-ball and you saw she was frustrated with herself. I thought about the qualifiers and how who was that? It was them gymnastics, not Gabby Douglas, but the other one. What's her name?
Simone Biles.
I saw her qualifiers on like YouTube for a little bit, and I saw how frustrated she got with like certain flips and stuff. And it looks beautiful to me. I can't do nothing like that, but you could just see how frustrated she got with herself. So maybe it's a funny thing that, like I said, I'm competitive with myself. You competitive with yourself. Your daughter competitive with herself. And Simone Biles is competitive with herself, right? That's a funny thing between us.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's powerful because if you can be competitive in your own lane, you drive other people towards success or show what it looks like. And I got tired of trying to tell people tips and things like that. I'm like, I'm just going to show them. And that's how we got to the podcasting game. Because I'm like, even if I got to talk to myself, people will come around. And you pushed me to the YouTube channel to go harder on that. And it's powerful, really, because there were people that I wanted to start podcasts with. They were like, man, you were built for this. You were built to do this. Like they literally apologized. I'm not the type of person. I don't hold no grudges. Like life has shown me that life is too short to be mad or upset with anybody. A lot of times it's just best to let it go. But like now they say like, man, I want to support this. And I got people with way more followers than me. And I'm like, I'm just trying to spread positivity. I just want people to be their best selves because I know that we can all eat out here if you want to, but you got to want to. And a lot of times a podcast will show if and reading and a bunch of different things will show me if somebody really wants something or not. And if they don't, it'll show. So a lot of times you got to just let people, be themselves and find their own competition. And I think that's also insightful too, because being an educator, you get to reach the kids on a level that most people will never reach them. Mm-hmm. And another great thing is, being a male, you have a lot of different experiences. So they got the male and the female teachers that they can come to. Like sometimes I just feel more comfortable coming to a guy like, hey, bro, I'm having issues with this. And you can help them calm down and use that energy and filter it through math. Right? Like when my math teacher reached out to me, shout out to Miss Donahue. When she reached out to me, like, and actually, hey, Tommy, I know, like I was with her son on the baseball team and stuff. She was like, you got a lot of potential. And I want you to go to college. Have you looked at Eastern Illinois? And you know what I'm saying? Like that foundation laid a different foundation for me because I didn't even know what it took. Like so many people are not having the conversation early enough. Mm-hmm. But bro, you are creating a lifeline that's going to last for ages. Because now they know a guy that they can come to that went to college, that did the hard stuff, that got debt free. Like y'all don't know if you like you an avid video game player, once you was getting through like Sonic and stuff like that, and you was getting the rings and leveling up and beating Buddy up and Mario and all that, there was a whole nother level of greatness. Like you talked about people being great in their lanes, and I'm like, if you can focus on you and keep your head down and ignore all the other haters, and you got a solid plan, because it's interesting. Like Thomas J. Stanley, he addresses, the stuff that he's addressing. Like a lot of people doubted him when he was putting these books together. From the Millionaire Mind to the Millionaire Next Door, like people like were really like, what are you talking about? And then here's the thing. Here's the other part is you have a lot of cocky millionaires that aren't really millionaires, but like they pretending, they false flagging out here. Like they really strapped for cash. But like, so it's interesting concept because people think it's new, but people been doing it for the gram for years without the gram. So, I guess we'll end on that note. We kind of cutting it a little close here. But is there anything you want to leave the listeners with, what I'm saying, for this week?
Let me take a look at my notes real quick. Since this chapter is success factors, I want to leave the listeners with the top 5 success factors on page 34. Is that cool?
Okay.
All right. So it says millionaire success factors. And then it says percentage of millionaires indicating factor very important, and then in parentheses just important. So we got very important and important. So the top 5 is being honest with all people, being well disciplined, getting along with people, having a supportive spouse, and working harder than most people. And I cannot wait to hit on that 4th point when we get to chapter 6 about the importance of a spouse.
Okay, fantastic. So the last one that you touched on was what again?
Let's see. Point number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, page 34. The 5th one was working harder than most people.
Say that again.
Working harder than most people.
Say that again.
Working harder than most people, which shouldn't be that hard because I feel like not everybody tries.
And bro, and the reason why I had you say that so many times is because all you have to do is your job. That's big facts. Like all you have to do is show up to work on time, and opportunities will just fall into your lap. And so many people just don't understand the connection between hard work and all of their dreams. Like I made a post. It's weird, every time this post comes up, I reshare it because I started off as a private in the military. But I had a plan. My dad was like, go become an officer, do that. 12 years later, I'm a captain. And that's not me. This is coming from the most humble place ever. If you want it, you can get it. And every failure that you do have is going to set you up to get it. But you got to go get it now. You got to go get it. You have to be intentional today. You have to come up with a plan because otherwise you're going to be sitting in a nursing home. And I delivered to, I got quite a few nursing homes on my route. And you see the ones that are just happy to be there. They living life. Like in the upper echelon nursing homes, and then you see the ones where their family don't come to see them. And one of the greatest things that I've ever been able to do was to be able to smile to them and give them the package and be nice and just chop it up with them. But you don't want to be that one in that lower class nursing home. And I think it's key and pivotal that you start being financially intentional, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? So we talked about, the 5, the honesty, having discipline, having community, working well with others. I struggle with that a lot of times because I just don't get along with everybody, but you can find your own circle. Getting along with the spouses. Make sure you're vetting people. Make sure you're dating people that you actually like, not because they look good, because those looks are going to mentally fade when they're a headache and they sit on the couch and, guy or girl, they sit on the couch and they can't provide anything but a headache and looking good. You're gonna be highly upset because they can't get what you're playing. Looking good is cool, but building an empire, that's even better.
Yeah.
The power of that's how you create two, like the really power couples. Jay-Z and Beyonce, that was intentional and deliberate. That's how they get down. That was intentional and deliberate. They mesh well together. And they both got kind of different lanes. One of them's really heavy on, the pop culture, things like that. The other one, he a businessman. He said, and so that's super powerful. And then working harder than most people. Don't forget to put in that work. Yo, this has been another episode of Proactive Pragmatism, the review. I'm Tommy. This is Shawn. And we're looking forward to producing next week's episode and catching up with y'all. So we appreciate y'all.